Hi guys, it's Darlene. Alright, so I thought that I would do an update for you. Nothing medically has really changed. I meet with the next surgeon and the oncologist, the first oncologist, next week. So then we should have the plan all laid out by that point. I'll have chosen a surgeon and chosen what I'm gonna do, so of course I'll update you. But I wanted to talk about something different, something that was kept happening over and over and over again. I did say that I would share this journey with you, and I'm not always gonna just be talking about the medical aspect of it, because there's a lot that goes into getting through something like this. I've been noticing that are pretty much what I would consider little gifts from God. This video may not be for everyone, and as always, just bypass if this isn't something that you want to hear about, talk about, that's okay. So I'm gonna say the first sign I didn't even know was a sign until all of this happened. Weeks before I knew, approximately about a month before I found out. And when we invited some friends of ours, Dean and Wendy, go to brunch for Easter, and they said, well, we're gonna go to church first, would you like to join us? And we're like, sure. And just to give you a little insight about me, I was baptized Catholic, and I didn't have the easiest childhood. Both my parents were alcoholics. I was out on my own since I was 16, and it did just make me a stronger person. Would I have loved the fairy tale childhood? Well, of course, who wouldn't? But sometimes I often think that the obstacles that I have faced in my life, I was able to do that because I've been a fighter. I had to be a fighter from day one, like from the age of 7. Church, it has been interesting for me because I've always found church to be such a business, and I don't like that aspect of it. I do believe in God, but I also am a medical person, or was a medical person. So I also believe in science. So that's the type of person I am. I'm gonna do all the research, I'm gonna do the thing, and I don't typically ask for anything for myself. I've never been that person, oh please, even now, oh please cure me of cancer. No, I don't do that. Dean and Wendy are great friends, and they are missionaries. They're just amazing human beings, and we love them dearly. So I was excited to go, and the church itself, the grounds are beautiful. You feel very good when you walk in. Excellent music. I mean, the music is just, if you like Christian rock, you would love this. The pastor, he is just amazing. He's really making it about everyday life, and I'm not here, I shouldn't go, I could seriously go on and on about how much I love this church, but that is not what this video is about. I find to be interesting, and what Wendy and I have discussed, once I found out I had breast cancer, she goes, it makes so much sense now that this is your church, you know, and it is, it's my church. This past weekend we were all baptized, which was just, as a family, which was just awesome and amazing, and something I'll never forget. That was like sort of the first sign, right? They guided, you know, God guided Dean and Wendy to invite us, and then it just became our church. And now what's so wonderful about it is I get very, as we all do, with or without cancer, we get depleted throughout the week. You know, it's you know, we have bills to pay, and we have kids to take care of, and there's stresses, and we have marriages, or we have relationship issues, and I mean, it's just all this stuff that piles on. And on Sunday, I feel like the minute the music starts playing, it's like all of that stuff just goes away, and I fill back up, and I can go for another week. We love it, and I'm very excited. So that was sort of the first like sign. And when I was getting ready to have my biopsy, I think I mentioned this in my biopsy video, I just asked God for one thing, and that was to take away the fear. Whether I'm healed or not, whether I will be cured, whether I'll win this fight, whether it'll come back 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I don't have control of any of that. And that's all going to be up to the doctors, up to God. It's like, that's just, it's out of my hands. For the most part, I mean, I can say, okay, this is what I want my treatment to be. Whether it be successful or not, it's going to be the skills of the surgeons, the technologies that we have, and stuff like that, right? So I just don't want to be afraid. I walked out of that biopsy with no fear. And that's not to say that I don't have bad days. I'm not ever gonna lie to you guys. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, it's all rainbows and unicorns. No, it's not. It sucks. It pisses me off, and I'd like to use some foul language. I tried not to on my channel. You know, there are bad days, but I just don't have that overwhelming, heavy fear that I had before, and so that is a blessing. So the day that I came home and I filmed for you, before I started filming, I was talking to my husband, sitting on exactly where I am, right on this porch. We have deer. We have lots of deer. We live on the acreage. But they're never alone. They're always together, you know, 2 or 3 of them, 5 of them, 10 of them, 15 of them, you know, they're always in groups. Well, I'm sitting there talking to my husband, and this was another sign, and I look over and there's a doe not 10 feet from me. They never do that, especially during the midday as it was. And I just look at, I'm like talking to my husband, and my dog is out here, and Bella runs out, and I'm like, usually the deer runs away, and the deer stood there, and she just put her hoof down, and Nina, it's my old dog, Bella backed up, and I'm like telling my husband, and I'm like, I'm on videotape this baby. And so, because I was crying on the phone, right, real upset, and I hang up and I videotape the deer, and I'm just like, this deer just stood there, this doe, and just stared at me. And I was like, you're a gift. Like, I knew it then, but obviously I'm still very upset. I just found out. So I was like, okay, that was interesting, you know, and I'll put some video here because I have it. And then when we were on our vacation, we were at Lake Travis, this is in Austin, and we're on the 4th floor, and my husband goes, babe, come here. He looks out the balcony, and there's a doe staring right up at us, all alone. And I was like, I see you. I see you. And the last sign that I've had in the recent weeks is when I went and saw Dr. Maloney last week, and he is my nephrologist. So I've made this like agreement with myself and with my husband that if we go and we do some medical test, that we go and have some nice lunch somewhere. So we went to Del Frisco's, and it sits out on the lake. You know, it was beautiful enough. I can't even believe this because it's June in Texas that we have not had, like, I'm sitting outside. Normally I'd be like sweating, but the humidity is really low. It's very hot, it's 90, but very, very little humidity. So we sat outside, and we had the server, our original server, and she gave us our drinks, and she goes, I have to go. I'm gonna come back and do my shift, but this is JJ. She's going to be with serving you. I'm like, okay. So she's super sweet. And a lot of times when someone goes above and beyond with service, because one of my first jobs was as a server, I'll write, you know, thank you so much for great service or whatever, and of course tip appropriately. And but with this, there was something special about JJ, and I can't really even put my finger on it. I don't know why I did what I did, but I wrote on the receipt on the back, you know, your service, I don't remember exactly what I wrote, but basic thing was, you know, you're just so great and such a kind person, and your service was so spot on and just so sweet and went above and beyond. And you don't know this, but you know, I was just recently diagnosed with breast cancer, blah 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 blah. And so I left it in the check holder, and we got up to go, and she had grabbed it before we had got up and came running over as we were on our way out, and she goes, I just finished chemotherapy. And I was like, wow. So of course I started crying. I had my aviators on, thank goodness, because I wasn't crying for myself. I was crying because there's a 20, she had to be under, she's my daughter's age, you know, probably even younger than that. My daughter's 27, so she's probably looked like she was 24, 25 years old. And I'm like, what I found, and I cried all the way home, you know, because it's like, it was so powerful, because we don't know how many people that we meet in our everyday life that are warriors in pink, right? We don't know how many people are out there that are fighting cancer, are in the middle of it, have just been diagnosed with it. We don't know. And so it was another sign to me to say, it's going to be okay. Because here's the thing, because I thought about it, and I was like, I've had a really good life. Now I'm not ready to go, mind you, but I've had a really good life. I have children, I have a grandchild, I have a husband, 28 years. have a home I love. I live in the country. I have a couple close friends. I don't give my friendship away easily. I have you guys. Like, I have a YouTube channel that I love doing. I'm blessed. I worked really hard, and my family has worked really hard. Just wasn't handed to us, but I have a good life. And I look at someone like JJ, who's only, you know, in her early 20s, and she's already had to fight a battle. And I pray for her every day, that she'll never have to fight it again, that she'll win her battle and she'll never have to fight again, because she's so young. You know, she hasn't had time to get married and have children, and, you know, and so it just put things a little bit in perspective for me and made me stronger. I don't know. So I know this video is like so random, right, guys? I mean, so random. Because y'all have to say, how are you doing and stuff like that, and I'm actually doing relatively well. I started working out again, and it's a really funny thing, because for those of you that follow me on Instagram, stuff like that, I dislocated my knee back in November, and I was big in working out. I did Taekwondo and, you know, cardio, and I loved it, and I was in really good shape, and then I dislocated my knee, and it just put me out of commission. And I tried maybe 3 months ago to get back on the treadmill, and even at just a walking speed, my knee was killing me. Even with the brace on, it would just, I'd take the brace off and it was just poof, poof. What's interesting is I started back up when we got back from vacation, and my knee has not been hurting. Get on the treadmill every other day and do a little bit of weight training, you know, just trying to get physically more fit to go through the surgery and everything else that I'll need to do. I'm doing good, you know. I feel good. We have a family vacation coming up in about 2.5 weeks, so I'm beyond excited to see my grandbaby and my daughters and stuff like that. I believe God puts you where you need to be, and God puts people in your life that you need, not necessarily that you want, but that you need at that specific time. And maybe they're there for a short amount of time, maybe they're there for a long amount of time. For those of you that don't know, I recently lost my stepdad. He came into our lives only 4 years ago. This blows my mind, because I feel like he's been a part of us for an eternity, like he's always been with us. We call Papa Russ, you know. He was like a snappy dresser, and I mean, he's awesome. He taught us all archery. He's very big Christian man, so he was so excited that I found a great church. This amazing human being, and we're so lucky to have had him. I specifically, he didn't know that I was diagnosed with breast cancer, because I told my mom under no circumstances was she to tell him. And we just went about, you know, I visited him after church every Sunday, and then during the week I would try and get over as well, and then I would call him. He was so cute, because he would always forget to take his medicine at 7, the PM medicine. And so I said, well, Papa, I put an alarm on your phone, and everyone in the house is like, oh, he's never gonna know how to do that. I'm like, okay, it's not rocket science. Let's practice, Papa. So I practiced with him. He got it, great. I put it on. Well, he was so cute, because he's so old school. He literally thought, my mom told me, he literally thought I was calling him every night at 7 o'clock. And he goes, you know, Darlene never misses a phone call. 7 p.m. every night she calls to remind me about the medicine. I thought it was so cute. It's just who Papa was. I mean, it was just adorable. He came into our lives. We needed him. He needed us, and I'm blessed. We're blessed that we had those 4 years. They were too short, and yet a lifetime was put into it. You guys are now a huge part of this. I still, every single day, I read comments, and I can't thank you enough for all the thoughts and prayers, for thinking about us and my family, and also for sharing with me your stories, or your family stories, or your sister's stories. They mean so much to me. I will probably update you next week or the following week when I have everything set. Have a great day, guys, and thank you so much for watching and for all your love and support. Bye guys.